Hello everyone, welcome to Storytime with Jamie. I'm so glad you tuned in today. As always, if you like today's story, give us a thumbs up or like it. You can always subscribe to my channel, that way every time a new story comes out, you will get it immediately. And lastly, if you want to check out today's story or any of my other books, you can visit JamieBryantBooks.com. Well, today is a special day. I'm going to be reading a story from my book, Fish, Guts, and Other Bedtime Stories. And you may have already guessed, I'm at the beach today, and this story actually took place at a beach. And so you might hear some fun noises in the background because there's a lot of people here today having a lot of fun. So today's story is actually called Man of War, better known as the Jellyfish. My dad loved to fish, and we made our way to the ocean more than one summer. I was most likely only 5 or 6 years old the first time I saw the ocean. I remember my bare feet stepped across the sand. The warm grains trickled their way up between my toes. I remember the sand either tickled or burned the moment I stepped onto the beach. The seashells lying all along the shore always got my immediate attention. I would walk along the shore, gathering as many as I could hold. Then I would carry them to my sand bucket, where I emptied them in handful by handful. Once I could focus past the gathering of seashells, I would fix my eyes on the water. The ocean was bigger than any type of lake or river I had ever seen. The water seemed to go on forever. Within seconds, my staring eyes told my warming feet to take off running for the waves ahead. As I ran through the water, 2 small waves greeted me and knocked me underwater. I jumped up smiling with the taste of salt water in my mouth. Yes, I knew it. I had arrived at the ocean. The summer I was 12 years old, we were at Myrtle Beach in South Carolina. That's not where I'm at today, boys and girls. I'm actually in a little town called Twin Rivers, Wisconsin, and this is a little beach here. But back to the story. Dad was not with us this year because he and my mom had divorced a few years earlier. On this trip, I was with my mom and my new stepdad, John. Our motel was right by the beach. The weather was perfect, and I knew we had an awesome week in store. I played that first afternoon constantly in the waves, only coming ashore one time to build a sandcastle. My sandcastle adventure lasted well over an hour. I probably would have built on my castle for a few more minutes, but then some other kids joined me. Together we built an enormous sandcastle with a moat. Have any of you boys and girls ever built a sandcastle? A big one? A little one? Have you ever did a moat, a little water around it? That was always fun. Well, the first day at the beach came to an end, and we showered and left to go out to dinner. We walked through some marketplaces where you could find just about anything to buy. My stepdad, John, wanted seafood, so we ended up at a fancy seafood restaurant. I didn't mind because they had hamburgers and french fries on the menu. After we ate, we made our way back to the motel for the evening. I was glad to get back to our room. My day on the beach had exhausted me, and I was ready for the bed. I lay down and was fast asleep the moment my head hit the pillow. I knew I had slept soundly when the sun's glimmer came through the window the next morning. As I rolled over, stretching and yawning, I knew another great day at the beach was in store. My mom and stepdad were having a late breakfast, so I fixed myself some cereal and enjoyed a cartoon while I ate. As soon as I finished eating, I quickly dressed into my bathing suit, grabbed a towel, and headed for the beach. I had made 2 friends the other day, and so there they were waiting for me. Ooh, the ocean water was cold, so we opted to begin building a sandcastle. This didn't last long because watching everyone in the water compelled us up and into the water ourselves. We had only been in the water a few minutes when my mom and stepdad made their way to the beach. I waved and tried to coax my mom. Come on in, come on in. Maybe when it's warmer, she said. I went back to playing with my friends. The ocean water was murky that hot afternoon, and we were unable to see the bottom. Occasionally some twigs or seaweed would float by and tickle my legs. Once or twice, I even had to untangle a piece that made its way around my foot. We were in the water up to our chests, catching the waves and throwing a beach ball around, when I was distracted by another piece of seaweed. This piece of seaweed, or at least what I thought was seaweed, wrapped around my leg just below the knee. Only this time, the seaweed came with an instant stinging feeling. I quickly took my hand down under the murky water to get it off. The seaweed then wrapped itself around my hand, and my hand began to sting and burn. Becoming frantic, I jerked my hand up out of the water, and I saw there was a white welt all across my hand. Immediately, I started screaming, "Something's got me! I've been bitten!" My friends weren't sure how to help me without harming themselves. I wanted to run, but I was afraid to move. I was crying frantically now, and I saw my mom approaching me. My screaming had obviously gotten the attention of a lot of people, mainly the lifeguard, and he was headed toward me right behind my mom. I grabbed my mom's hand as the lifeguard grabbed me, and we made our way back to the shore. The lifeguard had me sit down as soon as we were on shore. The white welt across my hand was swelling rapidly. As he examined my leg, he found an identical welt that had wrapped itself almost all the way around my leg. As he placed ice packs on my hand and leg, tears were rolling down my face. Both parts were stinging like a bee sting, and I felt like they were on fire. The lifeguard then started explaining to my mom what had bitten me. He told her that I had not been the first person bitten this season. Several others had come ashore crying just like me. The creature was actually called a man of war and is similar to a jellyfish, the lifeguard had explained to my mom. They float through the water stinging anything in their way. He went on to tell my mom there was really nothing they could do except place ice packs over the swollen areas. He also said, "You know it, boys and girls, I was going to be in a lot of pain, and I would probably run a fever for 2 or 3 days. Some people even have flu-like symptoms," the lifeguard said. As my stepdad carried me back to our motel room, I said goodbye to my new friends. As I lay there in bed that afternoon, I couldn't help but think about those whelps. Every time I did, and every time I looked at them, the pain seemed to worsen. Ooh, I think something's biting me, even as I'm here, boys and girls. I would imagine that scary creature swimming through the ocean and attacking me again. My mom gave me Tylenol, and I finally rested that afternoon. I woke up around supper time, and I was in pain all over again. The pain did not lighten up until after the first day. The swelling didn't go down until later either. I watched all the cartoons anyone could possibly imagine lying there in the motel room bed. My mom and stepdad did feel sorry for me, and they spoiled me while I was there. They would bring me anything and everything I asked for, within reason, of course. Altogether, I remained in bed nearly 3 whole days. The swelling finally went down and the stinging stopped. But I had scars for quite a while. We agreed on the 3rd day that I could go back down to the beach. I was excited and scared too. Would you have been a little scared to go back in the water, boys and girls? Yes? No? I think I'm getting bit by flies. Anyway, I was excited, so I dressed in my swimsuit and made my way through the sand with my mom. When I looked out over the ocean, though, the fun and excitement wasn't quite there. Some of my friends I had made earlier said, "Come on out, the water's fine." That wasn't my memory of the water, though, boys and girls. "Maybe later," I yelled back. I just couldn't do it today. I grabbed the sand bucket and started collecting some seashells. My friends did come out of the water long enough to see my scars and my whelps, but then they were back catching waves. Oh, I sat down and I began working on a sandcastle. I hadn't been working on my sandcastle too long when 2 of the kids joined me. We had a great time. Our vacation at the beach lasted 2 more days. I never did go back in the ocean that summer for obvious reasons. In fact, it was 2 years later when I finally got up the courage to go back in. Even today, many, many years later, when our family goes to the beach, my first few steps in the water are a little hard to take. Ooh, did you like that story, boys and girls? Have any of you ever been stung by a jellyfish or a manticore or anything else, bitten by a little crab? No? Well, that was not much of a fun day, but I still enjoy coming down to the beach, and I love listening to the waves and the water. I love that part. Well, as I said before, that story is found in my book, Fish, Guts, and Other Bedtime Stories. And if you want to check this book out or any of my books, you can go to jamiebryantbooks.com. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and until next time, boys and girls, have a great day. Goodbye. Goodbye.